Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am filming the final art journal layout for this mini Gorjuss art series. I did this art journal earlier in the month, but I got a little bit emotional and I wasn't ready to quite do the voiceover just yet. I wanted to have it sit with me for a while, so better get it out there now. We're getting closer to the end of December. For this final layout, I decided to use this pretty girl. She is stamped number 55, all the words, and she's just so pretty. I chose her because of the star that she was holding, and when I looked at her, she gave me a beautiful message of hope that I thought was a good message to leave you with. So I will start off by grabbing some watercolor paper, and I am going to stamp her using my mini stamping platform. I'm going to stamp her up with archival ink. I'm using the Lawn Fawn brand, and this is the first time I've used this stamp, so she's not going to stamp out too perfectly, so I'm going to repeat the inking a couple of times, and that's why I love this stamping platform. Now while I'm at it, I'm also going to stamp another image, and I'll use this image for a paper clip for December. I've chosen this Decadent Pie set by Prima. It's a watercolor pan set, and I thought I'd challenge myself today to limit myself to the colors in this palette. They're beautiful earthy colors. There is a color there for skin, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up the lightest color with a little bit of the white and go ahead and color in all her skin areas. Now I'm a beginner in coloring, and I really only do one sort of thing with skin color. It's like one color. I've had a comment left on my video before saying you need to be able to represent other skin colors in your Gorjuss girls, and I say yes, that's true. If I had the skill I would, but because I don't, I kind of end up with what I end up with on the day. So please excuse me if the skin color does not match up to your expectations. I'm testing out the different colors here, and I'm adding the color onto my glass mat and then diluting it with water. These Prima colors are so vibrant and so juicy and so rich and deep that you only really need just a little bit, especially for something like this. These little mini Gorjuss stamps, there isn't really much room to do a lot of coloring, so it's a basic touch and you've got a lot of color on your paintbrush. So with this little girl, I decided to give her a blue dress, and I'm just doing some basic shading around the areas that would be dark, around the outside of her dress, and around where she's holding that would be darker, around her neck and around her hair, and underneath the star. For her hair, I did decide to do the gold. I was considering silver, but because the complementary color of blue is orange, this straw-colored yellow looked like a better combination, and I love how it turns out. She's really pretty as a blonde. It was a little bit more challenging to darken her hair in areas so that it looked more realistic and more 3D. I used a lighter shade of brown, and he struggled through it, and it's fine. I like how it looks in the end. Not perfect. Definitely no Sandy Allnock here, but you know, did give it a go. So the star did have to be silver. I couldn't introduce another gold. It would just clash too much with her hair, so I did end up making the star silver. And then for the pretty little scarf that she's wearing around her neck, I just alternated it with a brown and green. So here she is, all done, really pretty. And I actually did end up going for two other color schemes just because the colors available in that palette were really inspirational, and I did want to try combining a few different hair colors and a few different dress colors. So on to fussy cutting them now, and I'm going to spare you that. And here they are, three little sisters. I totally love them. Now, I have a paper here from Echo Park. This is the Oh Holy Night collection, and this is one of the 4x6 journaling cards. I absolutely love this card here that says, "Oh Little Town of Bethlehem," and I specifically love all those like huts or the old style houses that they had back in those days. So I ended up fussy cutting each of these houses out, and I am going to use them as the backdrop to my layout today. Now, I did notice that in many of my layouts, I hardly did any collaging, so I thought one of the techniques that I could add in this Mini Gorjuss series is collage. So I am going ahead and fussy cutting all these houses. Some I am separating, and some I am leaving attached by a tiny little sliver, and I'm going to sort of lay them on top of each other to create like a old style town, I suppose, like the old style Bethlehem. And I just love that Middle Eastern look. Really sings to my grassroots here. I'm gonna keep that sentiment to the side because I will use it for another project. I'm sure I will. It just won't, there's not enough room on this tiny little page to add it. So I'm ready to go ahead and start building my background. I am reaching for the stencil by Tim Holtz, and I'm reaching for this jar of Inca Gold, and I'm going to start applying some Inca Gold through these stars. Now, I did think that I wanted to leave an area on this layout white so that I could stamp my sentiment in the middle. So what I'm doing now is I'm just getting some paper, and I'm gonna adhere it down with double-sided sticky tape, tacky enough to hold the piece of paper, but not too tacky that I won't be able to remove it after I have colored in the background. As usual, this does not go according to plan, and you will see how I fix this later on. It was a good idea, but I think how it went wrong was that I used just, like a post-it sticker type paper. I should have used a thick watercolor paper, but let me show you. You'll see how it goes wrong. So I put the stencil back on. I am adding Inca Gold with my fingers. I know Suzanne says don't stick your dirty finger in your jar, but I do. So if I do get mold in my jar, you guys know that Suzanne was right and that I was wrong. There you go, that looks really amazing. And right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run to my sink, and I am going to wash my hands. I am wiping off my stencil with a wet wipe just to clean it straight away. You don't want to leave this stuff on your tools. I did come back and dry off my Inca Gold. I didn't use the Inca Gold the proper way that it's supposed to be used. Inca Gold is supposed to be buffed on and then polished off, but I kind of used it as if it was texture paste. So when I did this, I applied just a light layer of water, and then I'm gonna do a like watery night sky background. The water reactivated the Inca Gold, and you could see gold coming off into the blue of the night sky, which leads me to believe that Inca Gold is water soluble. So it's not going to set when you dry it. It will just start coming off again in your background. And that's okay. It created a really lovely goldy kind of background with the blue. I love it. You'll see here that the post-it note got pretty soppy wet, and water and color did get under it. So it did not leave a white area for me to stamp my sentiment in. I didn't think of that when I first started, but I'll know that now forever because I made that mistake. So I am just going ahead now and just kind of making like an ombre type background where the top is a lot darker than the bottom, and also the sides are a lot darker than the center. So basically I just applied a wash of blue over the area where I'd ripped off that sticker, and now it's time to start collaging in some of these houses. For some I'm adding double-sided sticky tape, and for some I'm actually propping them up with 3D foam tape to create my town of Bethlehem. It takes a little bit of rearranging of the buildings and some pulling out and putting back in, but I do get there. And I did decide to use the girl wearing the green dress because the blue dress of the first girl that we painted would have blended in too much with the background. So I love the green dress with the blue background, and I also love the silver hair against the gold of the stars. So I think she looks really pretty here. Now all that's left to do is that spot there left for the sentiment. So what I ended up doing was reaching for my set of stitched stars. I thought that stars would be a lovely touch here. And I also reached for this really pretty paper by Echo Park one more time from the Oh Holy Night collection. By the way, I am using elements from the Stars Are Brightly Shining kit from Auntie Vera's Scrap and Craft. I'm going to leave the details below if you are interested in getting the kit or any of the items from the kit. I am using a stamp by Kaiser Craft that was sent to me by my really good friend Leanne. This is a stamp from Memory Lane, and I'm stamping it on this pretty pattern paper that has gold stars. I'm using one of the dies that fits around the sentiment nicely, die cutting that out, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to prop that up with 3D foam tape in the area that I had originally designated the sentiment to go. And actually I think maybe this turned out even better than what I'd originally wanted it to be. I like how there's a star there. It kind of ties the stars in the background. The star that she's holding might be even too starred out, but I kind of really like it. And basically there is my layout for December. So the message that I leave you all with is to do all things with love. It's a beautiful sentiment from the heart. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in for this whole year and watching me make a gorgeous girl art layout a month. I'm going to do a quick flip through here so you can see every single art layout that I did every single month. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody, and I'll see you in 2019.